First things first, if you ever opened up the new Affinity Studio and besides this layers here, I put my layers usually on the left side here, but besides the layers there, you find there's no toolbar. Where has it gone to? You've got to just go under the view section, go down to tools, and you'll see there that show is probably not checked there. Just check that box and boom, it will appear there. Okay, so you have the different layouts here that you can have with the different studios. If you click the buttons here, you can enable and disable them. So for now, I'm going to just disable retouching so that we'll just have those 4 on top studio versions there. And you can create your own one and put in your different parameters there. But what I'm going to focus on is this toolbar over here. So if you look at it, no matter whether you're under pixel, layout or vector, it will pretty much look the same here. It's got a similar layout. And we're going to start off with possibly with vector. To access the extra tools that you can use here, you can click on these 3 dots or just hover over any of these and right click. Okay, so again, if you by mistake clicked the show button, which is enabled now, and that happens, it's exactly like I showed you previously. You'll go to view, tools, and click show, and that's how you get it back. I'm going to right click again, just explain this, the dock. If I click on dock here, it's going to disable docking, which means it's going to disable it on the side and it's just going to float around. So you're able to move it. And if you hover against different sides here, you're going to see it's not going to show any little blue areas. So it's not going to attach itself anywhere. So this is if you want to be here and work on it like this. Okay, but it's preferable that you do dock it over here. So if I right click here again and click dock, it will place itself on the side there. Okay, and if you try and remove it, it's not going to take anywhere away from this docking area. So we've covered now. If I right click, say for example, I've got on the point here and I right click, you see there's not much other stuff here because there's only one item here, for example, the move tool. If I go to the node tool and I right click on there, you're going to see whatever's in the node tool and a little sub menu. If I click on this little arrow down here, you're going to see those 2 appear here. Okay, so whenever there's more than one, you will see, I'm going to just hover here again, you're going to see them appear there. Okay, so if you were on the first one and you didn't see a selection, it's because there's only one in that little container. Again, to show the dock is still there. But here's an interesting thing here, the sub tool. Now, to be able to see the sub tool in effect, I am going to just click off here and I'm going to choose this one, for example, here, artistic, and I'll tell you why now. If we're there and I choose artistic tool, you see what happens here? They come out, and this little window here is mainly because if you hover over here, I said that's the subtools. If I click on subtools, I'm going to hide it, disable that. You see those 2 little things go away. If I go back, right click there and subtools again, they appear here. Now there's an interesting thing. If on the subtool you right click on any of these ones here, you're going to see it says horizontal and subtools. So if I disable subtools, this little dialog will go away. If I click on horizontal, it's going to disable horizontal, and then this is going to align itself vertical. Let me show you that. So if you grab on this little line, you can move it around. But also there's an interesting thing with the subtool. If you go to the corners, if you hover over the corner, you'll see it turns blue there. And if you let go, it will position itself there. So no matter where you're scrolling in on the main page, it will keep itself. This little sub tool is docked over here. Okay, so if I go to this main one, I right click and I click on sub tool to hide it, it's going to disappear away from here. Let's do that. Okay, I can still access the 2 here as per usual, but if I right click again and enable sub tool, it goes to where it was defaulted here. If I want to move it from here, I can grab it there, and if I go to the corner, you can see it shows me where I can go dock it again, and it's usually the 4 corners at the bottom. Let me just show you something. If I'm docked in there and I right click on here, you see I cannot click on the horizontal, and the reason for that is because it's docked in a little vertical area. So if I pull it off there now, it's now not restricted to that little blue vertical area. If I right click on here, you're going to see horizontal is available. So if I click there now, it's going to lay it out. Now at the moment there's 2 on here, but if there were many more, it will sort of line up here. And the interesting thing is, if you've select the horizontal, when you go to that blue docking area here, it's going to be horizontal now. Let me show you. If you go there, it's no more vertical, they become horizontal in that area. Okay, so that's how you can go dock it there. If I right click on here, you'll see there's a Customize button. Now the Customize button is going to do exactly the same as these 3 dots here. If you go to these 3 dots, you're going to get out to the same place. So if I click Customize here, it's coming out to this Customize. I'm going to close this again. Just go to these 3 dots. It's going to give me the same window. Or if I just hover over any of these tools and I go to the bottom and I click Customize, we come out on exactly the same area. And I'll deal with that now. I just want to see, we go down sequentially here. Here you are seeing rich tooltips. That's just when you hover over it, it gives you a little bit more explanation of it. And it's nice possibly in the start when you're not too familiar with it, but if you are familiar with the stuff, it kind of gets in the way. So let me just switch this on. And if I hover over here now, it's going to tell me what that artistic tool is all about. If I go and I click the frame tool and I hover over there, let's just move off. It's going to give me the explanation of the frame tool. Okay, so that's just the tool tips as such. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to disable the rich tooltips, okay, because I don't want that information on my side. Okay, there we go. Here's a thing here that says show full context as a line. So if I click that, just watch what happens here. Okay, did you notice that? So that is generally here. If you look at the colors here, if you look also at the colors on the palette here, it's showing as the fill in color is full, but the outline color is also showing as a full one. If you want to display that as the usual one that you're probably used to from Affinity previous versions, that it's like a line that indicates the outline of a vector that you're working with, then you'd go and hover over here and you'd go and show full context as a line. Just watch what happens here. You see, so now it shows as a line. So if you here also as a line, so if you change the outline, it will show as red like that. I prefer leaving it in that way. Okay, and then we're going to do a bit of customize here, which I think is a really cool feature. As you're aware that depending on what you select here, your panel on top will alter also. Okay, so this is one that I've done in a previous video, but I think it's essential because we're working in vector and pixel and moving in between. You could have a vector piece of art here, and if it's selected on pixel view, it will look as if it's pixels. It's pixelated. So you must just make sure here and not panic too much. If you've got a piece of vector art, let me just maybe show you something here. Let me just take this and I'm going to right click here, remove horizontal so it's vertical. I can maybe dock it in there. So if you're looking here, I just did this as a vector, but if I go to the edge, you'll see there it's vector, but if I click here, it's going to show up as pixel basis. Okay, this one is still very straight because it's a perfect rectangle kind of thing. Let me just see if I go here and maybe do, yeah, there we can see it probably pronounced. I'm going to close that. There we can see, because I've drawn a vector art now, but it's because it's pixel view mode. If I click on vector, you'll see the perfect vector there. So just be aware about that, okay? It is a vector, but you're looking at it in pixel view. It's not converting it to pixel base, which is quite cool. You know, because you don't want it to click here and goes to pixel base and you lose the vector editability. Having said that, here's a very cool feature that I think is worthwhile mentioning. In previous versions, and excuse me if I'm referring to previous versions, but this is kind of the first iteration of your Affinity Studio. In previous versions, if you were working in vector area and you got to a pixel area and you wanted to make an alteration and you wanted to use a tool that was in the vector section, you would have had to click onto vector, do the edit, and then jump over to pixel again. Okay, but that was almost done over here. Although it's now easier here, you still want to be able to work with areas. One of the things, and I'm going to do this, one of the things that I found out, there used to be a little bit of an annoyance, but it's how it works basically when you're working with pixels and vector. But if I go and I get an image now, if I take this image, and okay, what just happened there? I'm not sure what happened there. I'm going to go and place again. Okay, so what happens is I've got this here, I'm under pixel layer, and then I go to crop tool. When I do that, the entire, almost if I can call this artboard, maybe I'm going to just make this image much bigger. It's a bit tiny. Didn't realize I was zoomed in so much. But say I wanted to crop this photo here now. Then I would click here to crop, but then it would take the entire background. Now in context, this would feel like if I was working in the vector area, it would feel like I'm cropping the whole artboard. I just want to, I'm going to go cancel. I just want to crop the image as such. And I know under the vector section, if I go to the vector section, the crop tool here works on the selection I am at. So if I go here and I click on vector crop tool, then I can create the handle, take the handles there, and when I click off, then I know I have it like I want to. I've now cropped the image, but I've still got the full background area. Now, I'm sure there are other ways of getting to that there, but because I prefer working with the vector crop tool when it comes to like a photo like this, because then it's also non-destructive. What this allows you to, and we're focusing on the menu area, what this allows you to do is to bring into this menu other tools that exist in the other sections. So let me show you that. If I now go and right click here, and I'm going to go to Customize. Okay, so here we see General. This is what you have in the General section, the Vector section, the Text section, Shapes, etc. And here you'll see the Photo section. So I know it's under the Vector section. Let's see where that is here. I want to be able to use this Vector Crop tool. What is cool is I'm going to grab here separator, left mouse, and just drag it and put it at the bottom here. And there you see I've got a separator line. So I am creating my own toolbar, pulling from the other sections across. Okay, but in this case now, I'm not going to add it over here. I want to add it in the pixel section. So if I go to pixel, you will see I'm over there. That line still exists. If I go to layout, there's no line over there. Okay, so you must just make sure that if you put a line under vector area, for example, you want it under pixel, it doesn't automatically drop a line in there. Just make sure you have it. So I'm under pixel, but I want to have the vector crop tool, but I don't want to put it here because I'm going to confuse it. So now under vector, I'm going to go to the crop tool, and I'm going to left mouse drag it across here and let go. And there we have it. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to close this now. Now if I'm working under the pixel based area, if I click here, again we're taking the whole thing as I explained. Let me cancel that. Whereas if I go to the tool, if I'm selected here, if I go here, I know this is the vector crop tool that I've just added on now. Okay, so there I've been able to bring that tool in. And there we go. I've been able to pull that tool. So if I use it quite a lot, I can bring it over. So in my different layouts, I can create my unique area and separate it by these lines, because you don't want to put two crop tools next to each other and you don't know which is for which. So all of the ones on top are by default the ones that belong basically in pixel. If you're pulling from any other area, then do it there. For example, the other thing is if I wanted to create a text box where or an image box. So let's see here, if I go to, I think it's under layout. Yeah, so a picture frame rectangle tool. Okay, so that's under my layout section. If I want to add that under pixel, I don't have that accessible. It might be in one of the dropouts, or drop downs, but I don't see it there, and I don't think I have it in there. So I might need to create another separator so that I just know it's from a different area. I can put them all together, but I think good working principle. So I'm going to click the three buttons to get my Customise tool up, and that one's under text, which is the picture frame tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a separator, put it there, and of course if I need some other vector elements, I'll just add them here with this one. But now I'm separating these. Okay, so I'm going to go picture frame, put it there, and then close this. So what is cool is now I can click on here, can go draw a picture frame, and by that now once I'm selected there, I can go replace that with, let's just drop an image in there. Okay, so there I have it now as a picture frame, which basically comes from the layout section. And I can do the same, exact same under vector. I can create a separate line and then bring some pixel things across. So if you want stuff to be able to be flipping in between, that is an incredible way of creating your toolbars there. That's unique. Okay, the other thing is that I just want to mention, if you go to Customize, here you have the two columns. If you go for one column, you'll see that it pulls it all down in one. My preference is two columns. I've always done that, and we have it there. The other thing is, if you click on reset tools, now if I've gone to the pixel section and I've added these other icons or these tool shortcuts from here, if I click on reset, it's going to clean all of these out. Just leave the conventional ones that are over there, but it's going to take these additional ones I've built up here, it's going to take it off. However, if I want to clear one of these off, what I need to do is to take it and just basically drag it across here. Okay, so I'll take it there and just drag it across here and let go, and it will put it back into that specific section. I don't have to scroll to find that section to drop it on there. I can just drag it into the space and it will take it off here. Okay, and again in the same way, I can take the other tool, move it there if I want to, take that tool, move it there, or I can grab there, move it off, grab there, move it off. Okay, and it doesn't matter where you throw it on here. As I said, it will still fall into its correct space. So you'll see there's vector, there's text, there's shapes, etc. that you can pull off and create there. So just remember that once you select this area over here, if it's got the pop out area and you like working with that, then you leave it there. If you don't like working with that, let me just close this here. If you don't like working with that, you can take sub-tools away, and whenever you need it, you click on here and make your selection accordingly. Okay, so let me go to Customize there. I just want to check here again. Okay, let's just show you these. These are the toolbars. It's what appears on top here. Again, these are tools that might appear in different sections like the vector, pixel and layout, but you can use them and drop them into any section that you function with. So yeah, you have the entire regiment of stuff over here. Use accordingly. And you'll have your workout preferences. You can bring them in accordingly. Previously, I don't think we had this nice align tool under the Affinity Photo, which is Pixel now, but it is all available there now. So the cross merging of these toolbars are really cool. And then finally here, the panels. I used to come here and have to initiate the panels, and the panels are still available here, but these are the panels. So if I pull here, that's would basically be seen as a color panel. So if you see here under color, if I click here, it's gone. If I click there, it comes back again. So it's a nice interface to bring back the palettes. So I'm going to just pull it over there. And then what was the other one? Let's just see the ones that we're looking for. Oh, I was looking for it here, but if you go to vector, you can see there's the stroke. I was looking for the stroke now. Again, you could possibly decide under pixel. If you do go look here, let's see if stroke is here. Stroke will be on, but it's not visible here because I'm not working with any pixel-based, any vector-based area. However, if I go to the rectangle tool and I do this, and I can select over here, I will have access to the vector tool. If I come here and just double click this, let's see, there we go. Actually, don't even have to double click, but the vector tool is part of the pixel base because we're able to work with the vector tool and don't have to flip back to the vector. That's also another cool thing. So if I select the vector tool, this one here, it was hiding a bit away, convert to curves. Usually used to be the words here, convert to curves. But if I click there, then we're going to have the node tool that I can fiddle around with. And of course it works all accordingly in the same way. Yeah, and here would be your fill color, your outline color, stroke width, etc. would still be visible here, as you can see. If we go with the stroke width, let's make it red, we can go there. As you see here, it's not in that circle area, so all you do, again, like we did it with the vector, but it's not visible in the pixel, you can right click and you can go to show full content, and there it will come out as that circle thing, as we showed earlier on. Okay, so for now, I think that's about it. Just the power of this particular menu to be able to work and develop your own menu layouts as you function, put it in there. So if you're working a lot and you're needing, for example, the Canvas, not Canvas, but Canva AI, I've got the Pro subscription. Well, I had it for a while, long before the Studio version came out, so I just connected it. What is so cool here is if you are working with something like this and you want to be able to use that Canva feature, you don't have to go fully over there. You can pull some items through from there. So let me just do that while we edit. So I am going to scroll down. I think it's right towards the bottom, if I recall. There we go, Canva AI. I do have a separator line. I am going to go with, or maybe I'll just put it onto the pixel layer one. I'm going to go with Generative Expand tool. Generative Fill. Portrait lighting, probably don't use much. Super resolution. So you see when I get in there, the one thing that I'm not sure about is, if one could have changed these colors to kind of show up the different sections that you pulled in. But I'm sure one would get used to it because you've separated them. You eventually get used to your workflow. So in a case like this, I could go and then there I know I'm on super resolution. Let's see how this works. I haven't used this yet. Okay, so it's doing something over there. The other thing that's interesting here is split. Let me see, mirror view, split view. Is usually the befores on my left and the afters on the right, but it seems to work differently now. Okay, so that is before, that is after. That's like the full enhanced thing. It's going to probably readjust it. Anyhow, it's doing its thing here by having these tools right here at our hands. Let's cancel that. And this is generative expand tool. Okay, I'm not going to work with all of that now. But at least you can see that we've able to pull in some of this features over here, and that becomes our norm. Just remember that if we come here and we click reset, it's going to take all of these once we've added away. Okay, don't forget that. Great. So create your customized areas, pull in the ones that you use in the different sections. So you're not limited now to editing in one and going to the other just for one or two features. You can build up. You can actually have your little tool panel over here that could have almost all your unique things that you have in the other sections all just available there. So that's actually quite cool. Fantastic. Have a great day and shalom to everybody.